Okay, are there any other amendments to the verbiage? Kristen?
Just to pin it, perhaps we should just cross out 2011 and leave it in due consideration to the recommendations of the Advisory Budget Committee, and that way we're not stuck in time.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Would that be a little bit better?
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Because the budget actually is the 12, 13.
Yeah, so let's get rid of that. Let's not date ourselves with that.
I make a motion to amend my motion by removing 2011 and changing the word restraints to constraints.
Second on that?
Second.
Second, Megan. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion with the,
The amendment first.
the what?
Vote on the amendment first.
Oh, excuse me. Voting on the amendment first. All those in favor of the motion, the amendment to be passed? All those opposed? One. Okay, now the original motion with the amendment included. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of that? A motion with amendments? Okay, opposed? Okay, passes. Okay, next item. Authorizing superintendent to explore tuition options, grade 6 through 12 with Rollinsford School District.
Yes, I have included for your review a letter from Dr. Mark Joyce, New Hampshire School Administrators Association, inquiring whether or not we'd be interested in exploring further tuition options with Rollinsford. As you know, their contract, I believe, is going to come to an end in 13-14, and they are exploring with various school departments options that might be available to them. And so I have not pursued this any further in this letter. If you want me to talk with them and see what options might come up and present them to you, I would have something available for you probably in early fall, or late fall probably. And I think by that time you should also receive a report from the Long Range Committee. I think sometime in November they'll be doing an update. So you'll be able to take a look at what options are available for Christian students and what our projection for enrollment is.
I propose that we authorize the superintendent to look into this matter and come back with suggestions on what we could accept or any other details that might be relevant.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Just so I'm clear, so the results of this or information will be available at the same time we're reviewing our long-range planning committee's
I
work?
believe that's the goal.
Okay.
The Long Range Planning Committee is going to wait for the October 1 enrollment.
Okay.
And in the meantime, we're going to start looking at what options. I've already spoken both to the middle school and the high school. We've already taken a look at what our capacity is, so we have some idea, so we can start at least a conversation.
Okay, great.
Okay, all those in favor of authorizing? Okay, the next and last thing on action items, authorize the Oyster River High School overnight field trips, August 22nd and 23rd. Would you talk to that issue?
I believe Mr. Allen is here.
Oh,
So moved, by the way.
oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
So
second.
moved. Second. Okay. Discussion. Will you come up and explain?
Yeah,
Need it.
this is actually a new thing. Last year, due to the yearbook has previously been put together through an English class that was had 15 students in it, and due to low enrollments in that class this year, the decision was made not to offer that as a separate class. So it's now being done as an after-school activity, which brings with it a different set of organizational structures, a new advisor, and some things. And so in order to facilitate the yearbook going forward, there's a core group of 4 kids who are going to be kind of the coordinators of the yearbook that would go to an overnight 2-day workshop through LifeTouch, the company that will be working with us to publish the yearbook, to kind of walk the kids through all of the steps of producing a yearbook. In the past, like I say, it was in a class, and you could do that on a daily basis through the class, and it was a larger core group of kids. They're going to expand it once school starts, and there will be another, a dozen or 15 optimally involved in the production of the yearbook. But the key now is to get these 4 kids involved. And due to the fact we have a new yearbook advisor and a new principal at the high school, it was sort of late coming around, and so that's why it's kind of late on the agenda here. I apologize, because I know 30-day advance notice is the policy, but given the way things fell together, the workshop is when it is. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions to Mr. Howard? Ms. Jim?
Money. I take this as an overnight trip.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and the school will be picking up the transportation.
Correct. There,
Okay.
and actually, I didn't have that detail worked out when I put together the backup information, but there will be a school district vehicle driven by the advisor, Wally Keniston, and he's a school district employee, school district vehicle, and it's all covered by our school district insurance.
Like I am assuming that the licensure is all in place.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That was
The other thing is, what about, obviously they're staying overnight, so there's rooms involved here.
correct, and that is the cost of that is being covered by the yearbook.
There's a budget.
Okay.
amount.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Well,
they-
that's
they generate revenue through the sale of the last year's yearbook, and then that money is used to pay for those
Good,
kinds of
thank you,
things.
Sally.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? Or?
Any other questions? Okay.
Motion to accept?
You're gonna make a motion?
We already got the motion.
We have a motion
We're-
already.
The wheels are in motion.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the motion? Thank you. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to public comments. Are there any more public comments tonight?
John Collins, Lee. Two things. One, the discussion on the Pledge of Allegiance. You'll get another chance at the next meeting, right, when this gets a second read and is discussed and actually voted on. If you want to be transparent instead of just lip service to that, and I think a lot of people would like to know whose idea it was and the reasons behind it, and every board member to take a stated position on whether or not to have the Pledge of Allegiance. It's a very controversial issue, and to just kind of stick it on the agenda. And I also think you need to take a position on it and be clear. I think you need text on the front of that page about it too. Are you going to stand up? Are you all going to recite it? Is the audience going to stand? Are they going to be asked to recite it too? Are board members going to be afforded the same rights as students are, and another policy in there? If they choose not to participate, they can sit down. And I think you're opening yourself up to potential, it could turn into a circus. So I think you should think about those things, and I would really like to hear everybody's opinion on that at the next meeting. State it so that everybody knows. Second, and I'll run out of time before I get this, what I intended to talk about was the editorial in Foster's on Sunday. Its main message was, come on, Oyster River, come clean. Oyster River School Board. A lot of us have been imploring you to do that for months, and you haven't, and you won't. But what I found most intriguing in that editorial was a passage, kind of as an aside, they mentioned that a member of the public called and proceeded to tell Foster's the reasons the board had for rejecting Justin Campbell and the reasons that the board had for the superintendent buyout. And this member of the public seemed to be privy to a lot of information that was non-public information. So that's very serious. You talked before about the New Hampshire state law and what it stipulates can be reasons for removal. And that's one of the reasons for removal of a board member from the board. So someone up here knows who told that woman the stuff that she knew that she shouldn't have known because it was non-public. And I don't know if the board plans to look into that, and I really urge you to look into that. I would go on to speculate that maybe this woman was more than just informed after the fact, but might have had something to do with planning and execution, but that's just speculation on my part. But I think that's a very serious allegation, and for Foster's to write that, they had to be pretty sure what they were writing, because they have to be very careful about libel. So I was very troubled to hear that. I wasn't at all surprised, and I'm anxious to see what the board intends to do about it.
David?
You did, David Taylor Durham. I was quite disappointed in your discussion about Jim's tweets. You put it on the agenda, which I think was a very good thing for you to do. That's what the community has asked for you overwhelmingly. On all it takes is for somebody to make a motion saying, we disapprove of these tweets, we censure, I mean, you could use whatever verb you want. You can take whatever stand you want. You just make a motion, you second it, you discuss it, you take a vote. You don't need state law to say you can make a motion. It's your right and your thing to do. What you've done is you've continued to keep it alive because you haven't dealt with it. You've delegated some policy. Just take a stand. That's all the community is asking you to do. You could do it, and instead you've kept it alive by punting it down the road.
Okay. Yes, come up.
Dean Rubine, Lee. First on the Revolution Energy thing, I think you guys should ask them what happens if they go out of business. You know, are we holding the bag, or is this equipment going to be repoed, whatever. I think my next point is pretty much similar to David's. Nobody during the discussion took a position on the tweets. I don't know how to take that as anything except approval. And I think that's disgraceful, and on Election Day, I'm going to remember that. I hope everybody else does. And lastly, Mr. Catch asked, you know, what do people want from him? And I think we do want a sincere apology. I don't think the apology we got tonight was sincere. It sounded more like anger. I did not hear contrition. From what I can tell, you are indeed sorry that the tweets were widely circulated. In other words, you're sorry that, you know, you were found out, that you were caught. It's not clear, to me anyway, that you actually believe that you offended anyone, or that you are actually sorry that you hurt or offended anyone. That's all I have.
Thank you.